That is right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls all around the world. Appreciate you being here yet again here on the Flex Zone Podcast. It is Friday, TGIF, August 8th, 2025. We are alive, and boy, is it good to be alive on a Friday afternoon, happy hour somewhere. So pour up a drink, make sure it's ice cold with yours truly. And let's talk some Commanders. Let's talk some NFL football. Let's talk some preseason as the Washington Commanders do have their first preseason game tonight in Foxborough versus the New England Patriots. They've had a joint practice all week. Some highs, some lows, some good, some bad, some ugly. Yours truly, God's favorite host here. If you're new to what we do here on the channel, make sure you guys leave us a thumbs up. Cost you nothing. It helps us get pushed to the recommended for other Commanders fans, other football fans to know the great content we have here on the Flex Zone. And as always, if you're new here, go ahead and salute that subscribe button and let us know what you're looking forward to tonight for the preseason and beyond into the regular season. As we know, obviously, it will be a more diluted version of Washington Commanders football, but it will be football nonetheless on a Friday night under the Friday night lights, playing an historic great team in the Patriots. We know the dynasty that they've had in the past, so it's going to be fun to see how this plays out. I got some keys of guys I want to see, I want to watch tonight. So we're going to talk about them, get into a little bit of the scouting report and what we expect from them. Vote on the poll we got. Who are you looking forward to seeing tonight? We got 4 options. And if you're new here, you want to become a member, exclusive emojis. You get those Washington Commanders emojis, exclusive content, and be the first to get some Flex Zone merch. You can join us there as well. But let's get into it. I wanted to start with the biggest, I won't say it's a dark cloud because I feel like the deal is going to get done. But I would say the partly cloudy skies over the Ashburn, Virginia, Washington, D.C. corridor that the Washington Commanders are housed in. With their, I think he's going to be a Ring of Honor guy, no doubt, with the Washington franchise, one of the best receivers in the league. I think someone in the top 10, if you were to rank 10 wide receivers in the NFL. I think someone who is part of the I call all underrated team when you think about it, because if you made a list of the most underrated players at whatever position throughout the NFL, this guy would be one of my starting receivers. I'm talking about none other than, and this can be debated, wide receiver U, wide receiver university. Is it the Ohio State or is it LSU? We know some of the guys that have come from those universities, but from Ohio State, 29 years of age. He won't be 30 until September 15th. So he's not, I actually thought he was a little bit older for some reason. That's why I looked up his age. He won't turn 30 until, what is that, week 2 of the season. So not out of his prime, more in the latter stages of his prime, but you look at his numbers, they are definitely among the best considering the quarterback play, the talent around him at the wide receiver and tight end and other skill positions. He has always been the guy. And now he wants to get paid like the guy. And I don't think it's a problem with it, especially a general manager like Adam Peters, who has come in and in less than 2 years' time, along with Josh Harris and the ownership group, Magic Johnson, bringing in Dan Quinn as the coach, Cliff Kingsbury as the offensive coordinator, Joe Witt, and others. That has helped propel this team in a quick turnaround, which a lot of us didn't see coming. You get Jaden Daniels last year, that helps a lot. But you got your guy at quarterback. Now you need to pay his guy, his number one guy, Terry McLaurin, Scary Terry. Let's look at his contract because, as I mentioned, only 29 years of age. So he's still in his prime, still has 1 year left on his current deal. So as you can see, his current deal has him signed through this year. So he will make 15.5 million this year. Let's make it a little larger for the people. He'll make 15.5 million this year, 5.6 million signing bonus, 2.8 million roster bonus there. It's very imperative that we think about Scary Terry and we look at him and going into the final year of his deal, he wants to be paid. His last deal was what, a 3-year deal that he signed, which was what, 68 million, including a $28 million signing bonus, 53 guaranteed. Now he wants to make around 30 to 35 per season, and deservingly so. And like I said, going into the last year of his deal, 30 years of age, he'll be in September. This Commanders offense cannot afford to lose Terry McLaurin. I know they bought in Deebo Samuel, who will probably end up being the best number 2 receiver Terry McLaurin has had at the NFL level, but they cannot afford to fumble this. I think a deal is on the way. I do think he will get signed. He had pictures floating around. He's been there. He's holding in. So it's not like he's not there. He's not pulling a Micah Parsons and all of a sudden not in the building, not at the facility, not around the team. I don't question what he's going to do on the field. That's no problem. He's clearly proven that. And I think what you're going to see here is a situation that after tonight, after they get through this first preseason game and they get into practice next week, before we get into the all-important second preseason game. Remember, no longer 4 preseason games. That has been cut to 3. We now have 18 weeks, 17 regular season games. Eventually probably going to be 19 weeks with an 18th regular season game added. Maybe even down to 2 preseason games. Who knows? The preseason could be eliminated altogether with the joint practices, which I think would be a nice alternative. I'm sure the NFL would love to find a way to monetize that. I'm sure they can. It's football. That's for them to figure out. But this offense, he's the straw that stirs the drink because he has proven he's quarterback proof. He's offensive line proof, offensive coordinator proof, number 2 wide receiver proof. And I think Scary Terry deserves his opportunity to really get paid. Now, looking at Scary Terry, I got some numbers here of the guys that make the most money at the wide receiver position. And it's quoted as, so looking at, and I'll see here on the article, he is looking to make T. Higgins money as his floor. So the T. Higgins deal, we know T. Higgins got paid, as I did predict, by the Bengals. Yes, they paid Jamar. Yes, they paid T. They gave T. Higgins, who's 26 years of age, so 3 years younger, a 4-year, $115 million deal, 28.75 million average annual salary, which is the floor. And I can agree with that. But those who are familiar with the situation are saying the offer came in low. And they're saying, if I'm a betting man, and I quote, they want a DK Metcalf type of deal. Washington, this is not a time to be cheap. You have a rookie quarterback who's playing at an all pro level, has won in the playoffs in his first season, gotten you to the NFC Championship game. I know they fell short, 4 turnovers, so do that to you. Losing the line of scrimmage like they did, and I think some of the additions that they made, which we'll get into, will help them, hopefully, against the Saquon Barkleys in their own division, against the Tyrone Tracy's and Bo Scatterbows in their own division, against who they got in Dallas, Blue and whoever they throw at running back in Dallas. They need guys up front that can stop the run and protect Jaden Daniels, and they did that as well, getting Laramie Tunsil and what they did in the draft. But looking at that, you see he wants the floor of T. Higgins, wants around that DK Metcalf type of number. I got the top 10 here. Let's play that. These are the top 10 earners with their age. This is average per year, APY. Of course, Jamar Chase just got paid $40.25 million at the age of 25. Justin Jefferson, also from LSU, $35 million. CD Lamb in his own division, $34 million, 26 years of age. DK Metcalf, we just talked about that, $33 million, 27 years of age. Would I give Scary Terry $33 million? I would. At age 29, going into age 30, I would, because I still think you have at least 3 to 4 solid years of Scary Terry left, where you have this rookie quarterback, rookie deal, salary cap options, a new up and coming destination of a team people want to play for, a team people want to root for and get behind. You don't want to fumble what you have here, because you have a window. And we've seen it in Baltimore up north with Lamar Jackson while he was on that rookie deal. They didn't necessarily put the best weapons around him consistently, but then eventually you're going to have to pay Jaden Daniels. Jaden Daniels is going to be the highest paid quarterback in the NFL in about 3 years. Now, whether that's 60, 65 million average annual salary for quarterbacks then, and he's making a $400, $500 million contract, I could see it. Because you look at the young quarterbacks in this league, he's one of the faces. Now they're going to face another young quarterback that I like, who won't play tonight from the Patriots perspective, Drake May. If you're not on the Drake May bandwagon, you're not on the Drake May train, you need to hop on. This brother reminds me of a young Justin Herbert. He reminds me of that big arm quarterback with that athleticism, maybe even more of an upside than Herbert with the potential. You put him with Mike Vrabel, you put him with Stephon Diggs. I know Stephon Diggs is goofy off the field, but on the field, he's a dog. He gets the job done. And I think personally, the Patriots are going to be one of those teams I'm looking at to maybe be in that playoff competition. I know they're in a division with Buffalo, but you look at the division they're in, the Jets. What are we expecting from the Jets? Not much. What are we expecting from what are we expecting from the Dolphins? Tua to get hurt and Mike McDaniel to get fired? But back to this list, you see right there, that would put him in the top 5. Garrett Wilson just got paid. He got 32.5, only 25 years of age. So Garrett Wilson will probably be in line to get paid again in about 3 years at the age of 27, 28, 29 for another 35, 40 million, which is crazy. AJ Brown, 32 million at the age of 28. So he wants to at least, and I think even if they were to offer him the AJ Brown, Garrett Wilson type of money, he would take that. Now, Amon-Ra St. Brown, 30 million, 25 years of age, another young dog who will get paid again. Love what he does up in Detroit, the Sun God. Tyreek Hill. I think Tyreek Hill is starting to decline a little bit. I think Tyreek Hill is more on the downside of his career. I think we're going to see a little bit more of that decline this year. We started to see the beginning of it last year. I think we will see more of it this year coming up, because I think coming forth, when you look at it, Tyreek Hill's 31 years of age. How much longer is he going to have that cheetah-like speed to overcome what makes him great? Because I think if you take away that speed from him, much like you saw with Chris Johnson, much like you've seen with others, it's going to be very, very interesting to see what he does when it comes to the next stage of his career. But looking at it, I think that the overall aspect of what's going on with uh, this situation is I think you should pay him more than Tyreek Hill, and he should be in that at least AJ Brown, Garrett Wilson, DK Metcalf field. So, like I said, is he going to take 30 million a year? I don't know. He wants probably, like I said, around 34, 35. Like I said, he ain't gonna get more than CD. He ain't getting more than Justin Jefferson. He ain't getting more than Chase. You give him 33, I think he's a happy man. Maybe you give him 33.5 just to make him feel a little better, and you have him right above DK. You get that maybe front loaded for the first 2 or 3 years, and then you kind of can live afterwards. It's not something that's going to hold you back long term, in my opinion. Now, I know Patriots fans would love to have a guy like Scary Terry. He's a number one caliber receiver. Like I said, teams would line up to pay him. That's what they're going to. Teams are going to pay these skill positions on offense now. That is the new way of the NFL. They're going to pay quarterbacks. They're going to pay receivers. They're going to pay guys that can take the ball and in one swoop take it to the house. Home run hitters. Jaden Daniels, he can do that with the arms, with the legs. You saw it in the playoffs last year, even with Terry McLaurin. He showed up to work, and he worked the Lions, and he pretty much worked as well when they played the Buccaneers. But they got to get this deal done. That's pretty much what I would like to say, because you got guys like, like I said, T. Higgins is making 30 almost. Brandon Ayuk at 30 million, they paid him probably too soon. A guy I know the Commanders were in on last year, played with Jaden Daniels. Terrible injury. When will we see him this season? I'm giving him at least more than Brandon Ayuk and Tyreek Hill. Like I said, he needs to be at least in that Sun God, AJ Brown, Garrett Wilson range, that 30 to 33 range. Now, like I said, if you were to offer him 30, would he still say he wants a little more? Okay. He may say, hey, I want 35. Okay, well, we can do 32. Okay, I want 33. Bam, we can meet in the middle. I think it's about a negotiation. It's a give, it's a take. I know he's being fined right now for some of the days he's missed, but that will be recouped. These players, these individuals get their money back when it comes to these fines. That's why they show up at the facility. That's why they show up and walk around practice, because that way they're not, it's not a holdout. It's a hold in. You're still there. You're technically doing everything you need to do. But like I said, I think Terry, and like I said, he's never missed a game since 2020. He hasn't missed a game since 2020. And he's always the number one wide receiver. He's the number one option on offense. He's always the guy who gets the most coverages rolled to him, gets double team, gets the other team's best corner, gets help from the safety. He's never had a teammate top 700 yards receiving. And he's recorded 5 straight seasons of 1,000 plus yards. So over 5,000 yards this season. You think about guys like him, guys like Mike Evans, who just longevity wise have been great, have been fantastic. You can pencil them in for 70, 80 catches, 1,000 yards, 10 touchdowns. And that's a Hall of Fame trajectory, if you ask me. Now, like I said, he has a guy. Now, I don't know if Debo's going to get 700 yards this season, but they have a guy, I think, that can help carry some of that burden, which is needed. Because you got to have, you look at the division. Look at what the Eagles got. They got A.J. Brown. They have Devontae Smith, who I think is going to have even a better year than A.J. Brown this year, possibly. You have C.D. Lamb and young Crash Out, a.k.a. George Pickens. You have them on the same team now. So that's a 1-2 combo. You look even at the Giants. Malik Neighbors, he's a guy. He's a guy that's going to be on this list one day. And by one day, within the next 2 to 3 years. So his teammate, Debo, I didn't even realize this when I looked at it. He's 29, getting 23.85. So he's in the last year of his deal as well. So I could see a situation where you pay Terry now and then maybe you pay Debo next year. Is Debo at 30 next year going to get 25 million? No, but you might can give him a nice 2 years, 45, $48 million contract, and he can finish the latter years of his career as a commander and really look to be a part of this winning window. It's a winning window. We're throwing up the dubs. Washington, winning window. A little alliteration there, because this is going to be an interesting season, and I'm going to pull up the schedule because they have a lot of primetime games, a lot of games where they are the national spotlight, where they're the only team playing. So It's going to be very, very interesting to see what happens. But make sure you guys are hitting that like button, hitting that bell. Let me know what you would give Terry down in the chat. Make sure you subscribe if you're new. But I'm intrigued to see, like I said, what they do here, because after the first preseason game next week is the dress rehearsal. It is the second preseason game. It is the game where you have to kind of get the closest thing to a regular season game that you have. And I think it's going to be a situation where Jaden Daniels, if he's going to be playing, they're going to want their complete offense. And because now what you're doing is with the offense under Cliff Kingsbury going into year two, which is good. Consistency for a young quarterback is always a great thing. You are kind of starting a step back because you're not getting those reps. You're not getting that time together. That training camp in the preseason window is for as you get ready for week one. So it's going to be interesting to see if they can indeed overcome that. Because I think, like I said, I think it needs to be a situation where Terry needs to get paid. Like I said, he should be making more than Tyreek Hill, Brandon Ayuk, T. Higgins. He should be up there with the Amon-Ra St. Brown, who makes as much as Hill and Ayuk. But like I said, if you want to put him up there with A.J. Brown, 32, and is he say, oh, I'm not taking that? Okay, we'll give you 33. Okay, cool. You want 33.5 just so you can have that number 4 spot? Bump DK down to 5? You can have it, my guy. You can end the career with the Commanders the way you deserve. Getting paid because the way you play, I would like to think that he's still going to have another year, at least this year, over 1,000. He'll probably have 60, 70 catches minimum. He'll play all 17 games. Knock on wood. I don't want to jinx him. And I think this offense will be maybe even more dynamic with Jaden Daniels going into year two of Cliff Kingsbury, adding additions to the offensive line. The offense is really not a question I'm worried about, even with some of the questions at running back, some of the questions at depth of receiver, questions with the offensive line. I think the question on this team is going to come down to the defense. And do they have enough to get the job done? And also, will they have enough to get after the quarterback? Do they have enough depth in the secondary? Those are things that we're going to be looking at. But pay Terry, pay the man. He deserves it. Like I said, he should be in that top 5 to 6 range. He should be in that top 10, top 5 for sure. Like I said, A.J. Brown and Garrett Wilson is 0.5 difference. DK 33. So he could probably take 33, 34, I'm sure. And like I said, he's not going to get over CD. He'll get around 33 max, 33.5. Like I said, you want to make him happy, you want to get the most out of him, say, hey, we know you want to get the DK deal. We'll do you one better. We'll give you the DK deal plus plus another 500,000, just as a show of appreciation, of gratitude, of thanks, of loyalty, of what we know you've done and what we know you still can do. And that in a player's mind, when you believe in them, when you are feeding that ego, when you know that you're going to get the best out of them because they know they have a guy under center who can help them get over the hump, who really, if we're being honest, going into the season right now, Jaden Daniels may be the best quarterback in the NFCs. I know Jalen Hurts won the Super Bowl. I know Dak is coming back from injury. I don't know what the Giants are doing with Russell Wilson and Jameis and Jackson Dart. Overall package, from the pocket, outside of the pocket, just upside, leadership, just what he brings, that ability to galvanize people and really elevate the players around him, be a leader of men at such a young age. I know his mom is always in his business, but he was raised right. He's got that tough mental fortitude. He's got that clutch gene. You got a guy in Jaden Daniels, and he knows that. And when a receiver knows he's got a guy, they want to play with that guy. And they know that when you make plays for your quarterback and when you step up like they've done throughout the regular season last year and into the playoffs, they're going to look for each other. He's going to throw to that receiver, and that's going to help that receiver get his numbers, which we all know they love. So let's get Terry paid. I think after tonight, we'll see. I would say let's see in the next 7 to 10 days. By next week when they play again, if he's not signed, I'd be a little surprised. Not worried, because I think he will get signed no later than that third game, but I think he will be signed by the next preseason game, which is what, a week from today, I believe. They play next week. So I think by this time next week, I think the deal will be done. If it's not done by this time next week, I don't think it won't get done. I don't think he will get traded. I think it'll be a situation where he will inevitably probably have to keep playing hardball and get what he wants from Adam Peters. And I think Adam Peters will realize, hey, we're getting close to the season. let's make it happen. Like I said, it could even maybe drag out to that third preseason game afterwards, that little gap before the regular season, like we've seen what guys get paid right before the season leading up to it. A TJ Watt jumps out to me, for example, and countless others. But I think I'm just going to say by this time next week, I think Terry is paid after the first preseason game to kind of see what they may need to address, which is like I said, depth at wide receiver. But I think Scary Terry will get paid by next week. And then if not by next week, definitely before the season starts for sure. No, this does not go into the regular season. He does not go into the regular season without a contract. I think he gets paid. I think all these guys get paid. I think Micah gets paid. I think Trey Hendrickson gets paid. I think Scary Terry gets paid. I don't think we're getting trades this late in the offseason, hitting into the regular season with it being, what, 3 weeks away, really? 3.5 weeks with the preseason now underway. So pretty much this time, a month from now, it will be the opening weekend of football. We will have already had the first game. So we're not going to be dragging this out past, I can see the first week, past Labor Day. I don't see this getting dragged out past Labor Day. So we'll see what happens there with Scary Terry. But let's get into the game tonight with the Patriots and the Commanders, because it's going to be very, very interesting to see what indeed happens today with that game. It is a 7 p.m. kickoff. It is a game that is on your local CBS affiliates or wherever you may watch it. So, and these two teams did play what they played last year in the regular season. So that is going to be something interesting to watch as well. And we'll definitely see what they get into today, and we'll definitely see what happens when we get into the meat and potatoes of the regular season, which I said the schedule is very, very interesting. It's going to be not easy, especially with the amount of primetime games, because now the Commanders are pretty much the flavor of the month. The Commanders are the team. Compare them last year to like the Texans. People are now ready to put the Commanders in the Super Bowl. And, they were ready to put the Texans in the Super Bowl. So it's going to be very, very interesting to see how they handle the expectations. Like I said, they have a lot of primetime games. They have a lot of games that will be the only game on the schedule. They'll be playing alone in primetime. So they have to make sure they live up to the expectations. Jaden Daniels, you got to make sure that you're living up to people calling you a top 5 quarterback in some circles, a guy that could win a Super Bowl for the Washington Commanders. And we'll see. We'll see. We'll see. Let's get to the information of this game real quick. The Commanders will begin their preseason by playing the New England Patriots at Gillette Stadium. Remember, they had practice this week. The Commanders last year were 1-2 in the preseason, and they played the Patriots in the final preseason game last year. Actually, won that 20-10. So it will be on CBS at 7:30. So there you go with that. Like I said, don't put too much stock into the record. I want to see who kind of steps out, who jumps out to me, and I got some guys that I'm looking at. So we'll talk about it. Make sure you guys are hitting that like button, that thumbs up, hitting that subscribe button. You're watching on X, coming over to YouTube. Search what we do here on the Flex Zone podcast. But I'm starting with Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt. He's also known as Bill, so you can just call him Bill. He's flashed at several points during the first 2 weeks of training camp. He is a 7th-round pick. Impressive vision, quickness, and earlier practices, which led to several explosive runs. So he does run. He's a running back depth with Eckler, kind of in the latter stage of his career. Brian Robinson kind of starts hot and falls off. He's going to be, I think, a part of his offense as the season progresses. He caught his teammates and coaches' eyes. Both offensive coordinator Cliff Kingsbury and Jane Daniels said they were impressed and looking to see how he would perform against the Patriots. He was quiet in joint practice on Thursday. The quickness and vision was there, but nothing of highlight-worthy-esque plays. He also fumbled a handoff from Jaden Daniels, which is never good. So he has rule number one for him, going to be hold on to the football. Do not lose the football. Do not fumble the football. Do not give away the ball. 4 turnovers in an NFC Championship game, which led to a blowout. That's what you don't want to happen. That's what you're not trying to be in a situation of. You got beat 55-23. I got it right here. I remember. We were live afterwards. Remember, we do pre and post game shows, content throughout all parts of the season and even the off season. We put it on here. Philadelphia Eagles defeated Washington Commanders 55-23. Commanders 4 times. That was my topic right there. That was the jumping off point because you turn the ball over 4 times on the road in the playoffs against a divisional foe who has more talent than you get your ass whooped, you get blown out, and you get embarrassed, and you're tucking your tail between your legs on your way back to the DC area, uh, like a kid who just got whooped in front of the class, who disrespected his teacher or showed out, and the parents had to call the teacher, so they had to get the belt on that.
Finish him, Daddy.
So we got it. We were here. We were here, and we'll be here after each Commanders game this upcoming season. But yeah, it was not pretty. Definitely something as well. He is a hard-nosed, determined runner who fights for every yard. So he does run hard. So we'll see what he can do tonight. He will probably be RB1. Let's see how his vision between the tackles is and his willingness to protect in passing plays. Can he block? Because if you're going to be in there, you have to protect, especially on ladder downs, third downs, the third and longs. Can you protect JD5? And pass protection is going to be very, very important. So look out for Bill, running back Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt. Let's keep it moving with our next person. I have my notes here, so I'm going through those. Kane Madrano. Madrano has started to figure out the game. The game is slowing down for him. He's stacked some good practices. He's been in good position to make plays around the football. Coverage. He's really shining coverage, using his athleticism to keep up with pass catchers and man-to-man. He's able to jump for those balls to the contested catches, pass breakups, and he's done a good job of tackling and not giving up big gains. So Joe Witt Jr., defensive coordinator, who I like, says they're trying to carve out a role for him, but Madrano has been defining that himself. So he'll probably be maybe like a Swiss Army knife. You can move around using coverage, match up with other people on the offense that could create a matchup for them. Still has a lot to prove tonight against the Patriots. So we'll see. They are a physical team on the Patriots. So we'll see if he can match the physicality as well. And if he can continue to translate those pass ups that he had as well. Depth on his team is going to be Jordan McGee, sideline again, unfortunately. So injury bugs there. So Kane Madrano. Let's see what he does. I think Adam Peters had a solid draft with the draft capital he had, not as much as he wanted, but trades and other things have helped this team become better quicker with the draft capital. He's drafted well. So we'll see. Like I said, he has the athleticism and instincts and pass coverage backer on your team. I think he makes the team. Bobby Wagner's not getting any younger. We know Frankie Louisville was here, but you got Bobby Wagner, Von Miller. Now they're one of the older teams in the NFL, I believe the Commanders are. So that is going to be very, very interesting there. Next, let's keep it moving. Jalen Lane. So another running back that they took in the draft, like Bill, our guy Bill, better known as Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt, excuse me. Like Krosky Merritt, Lane had quiet joint practices, which it is what it is. He didn't do anything bad, just didn't stand out the way that they thought he would in previous weeks. He should get a lot of opportunities with Krosky Merritt, speed, versatility, and quickness with a strong work ethic as well. He has a good yak ability, and Cliff Kingsbury, offensive coordinator, loves that about him as well. And he can even be a vertical threat. So we talk about receiver maybe not having as much depth. You can maybe use a guy like Jalen Lane as a receiver type, use those wheel routes, use those vertical routes, use those option routes out of the backfield where you got Noah Brown back, which I love that, and you haven't had him on the field, neither in, like we just talked about, for 30 minutes. You don't have Scary Terry on the field as well. So let's see what happens there, but we'll keep our eye on those individuals there. He will get plenty of snaps returning punts on Friday as well. He can be used in the return game. He had a very good career in college as a return specialist in the ACC, which he led last year in punt return yards. They've been looking for an answer. Have the Commanders at punt return for years. You guys know who has been the punt returner that they've had that's really worked out for them? Nobody. I mean,
Who?
Go Google it.
Yeah. Now Jalen Lane can step into that role. He led the ACC in punt yards in 2024, and now with the new kickoff rules, also you get the ball to 35 if it's a touchback. So the return game, who is the returner for this team, is going to be something I'm looking forward as well. Who steps up tonight? Could Jalen Lane be that punt return for them? That's going to be something that we definitely look forward to as well. I got another guy on offense, Ben Sinnott, the second-year tight end. We know Zach Ertz incorporate Ben Sinnott in this offense. Saw a little bit of flashes last year. He can catch the ball. He's a decent blocker. Zach Ertz, the number one tight end. I think him and Jaden Daniels have a really good chemistry, really good connection, as he does with Scary Terry. So that's good. They're running it back. But after, last year was a little lackluster, but he's shown that he could be a guy moving forward. It'll be interesting to see who will be having to block against an NFL caliber defense. Can he do that? And can he also catch the football out of his position at tight end? His route running, his hands to catch at situations, how does he do there going across the middle? That's always a question I have with tight ends and big body guys. So not only would this help him if he has a good showing tonight, but his confidence, which I think he needs. Because I think Zach Ertz is not getting any younger. This is the last hurrah for Zach Ertz. So you need a developmental tight end that can hopefully next year step into that role. We got Luke McCaffrey here. Let's go to Luke McCaffrey because I really like Luke McCaffrey. I always liked him since they drafted him 2 years ago. And entering his second season, another year older, another year wiser. You got Noah Brown, Scary Terry, who I think will be there. But somebody has to step up in their absence, and Luke McCaffrey will have an opportunity tonight. McCaffrey said he's coming in bigger, stronger, faster, and catching rhythm. Now, he was very limited. I wish they kind of used him more. I think he will be a part of that return mix as well. He only had 18 receptions for 168 yards in 17 games. I think also that can go into building chemistry with Jaden Daniels, two rookies. Now they come in together. Talk about the drafting of Adam Peters. You got to give him credit. You look at a guy like Luke McCaffrey. Of course, you know Jaden Daniels. You know Jalen Blue, Bill, Medrano. So they had a really, really good draft, in my opinion. Now, he did have some big contributions. He had a 30-yard catch and run on 4th and 5 against the Bengals in week 3. I think that was a Monday night affair. He was also one of the team's primary kick returners when Austin Eckler missed time, which could happen again, with concussion and averaged almost 30 yards of return, 29.9 to be exact. He played the slot mostly, and tight end Zach Ertz saw more snaps in that area of the field, hence why Luke McCaffrey didn't get as many opportunities, but I think that'll be upped for McCaffrey this year. You can see it. He's gotten more snaps at practice, and he's been going up against rookie cornerback. Remember this name, guys. I'm sure you know if you follow the Commanders. Look at who they drafted, Trey Amos. And he made an over-the-shoulder diving sideline catch from Jaden Daniels on August 2nd, and he's had some impressive catches during the joint practices with the Patriots. And he won't play much outside, obviously, when Brown and McLaurin return, but getting that experience will definitely help him as well in the long haul. Now, he is relatively new to the receiver position. He made the switch during the last 2 seasons at Rice. He's still learning. So he's still maybe a year or two away from really knowing all he needs to know. He finished that season with 992 yards and 13 touchdowns, which allowed him to get drafted with the 100th overall pick last year. So you think about, yeah, we love the first and second rounders and even the third rounders, but you look at those 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th round draft picks. Those are the guys you have to build your team around. Those are the guys that really contribute to championship culture and really help build that championship caliber team, because I really think that you get guys like this in the 6th, 7th round, 5th round that can come in and contribute. And then you look at them and maybe they're developmental, but 2, 3 years down the line, they're helping you win games. So that is going to be very, very intriguing. TB, I love it. I love the question. I'll get to that in a second. It starts with a first minimum, as the fly is attacking me. It starts with a first minimum. TB, I appreciate you being here, man. I do like I said, I think the Patriots are going to potentially be in the playoffs. They could win 9 or 10 games and it wouldn't shock me. I think Drake May is ready to ascend. I look at the NFC. Jaden Daniels is that young QB. I look at the AFC. Drake May could be that guy in the AFC. I know they got Stroud in Houston, but I think Stroud is kind of like, he's a young veteran, but this is year 3. I think Drake May going into year 2. who can make that improvement. Getting Stephon Diggs helps. I really think that they will have some upside. And I think they will have a better offense, especially under Mike Vrabel. But I would say a first minimum, at least a first, a first round pick minimum. But I think that the Patriots aren't going to. Nobody's going to give him a first probably for Scary Terry, and they still have to pay him 34, 35 million a year. I think they will inevitably. You would get a two max, probably like a two and maybe a late fourth or fifth, and you may get like a three back. It's going to be a pick swap. It's not going to be nothing crazy. You would maybe get like a two, like a two and a four, maybe something like that. So yeah, we'll see. You could get two twos. You could get a second rounder and then a 2027 second rounder, two twos. Now two twos, you probably take those. You probably take the two twos, but you probably teams are going to probably offer a 2 and a 5. And then you maybe can somehow get a 2 and a 4. You know what I mean? So we'll see. We'll see how that goes. But I don't think he's getting traded. I think he gets paid by next week, no later than Labor Day. But appreciate you. Make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already. We cover all 32 NFL teams on this channel. I actually predicted and did each team's record and gave you a win-loss prediction. So we'll get into that as well. But yeah, McCaffrey, back to McCaffrey real quick. He has really good route running and reliable hands. He needs to be a consistent target, though, and beat press coverage. But we'll see against a caliber defense of the Patriots, which has a lot of good pieces, a lot of good depth. We will indeed see what happens there with Luke McCaffrey. He should be one of the guys when we're talking about this game tomorrow. Watching it, however you may be, or if you hear who stood out, who jumped off the screen. Because when you watch games like this, it's hard to pay attention to everything. It's hard to really see how everybody's doing because you can't watch 11 guys at the same time. You have to rewind if you have the capability to watch film from different angles. Luke McCaffrey needs to be one of the guys on offense, especially that made some plays. You looked up and you saw number 12. You said, "Oh, he made a couple plays. Okay, oh, there's number 12 again. Oh, maybe he makes a play in the return game. Maybe a play in the return game, a catch or two in the receiving game. Obviously, Marcus Mariota is going to be the star, Jaden Daniels. So I don't know how that balances out with the offense, because I don't really have high expectations with Marcus Mariota. And I think it'll be more run oriented now that I think about it. So you maybe have a better chance of the running backs maybe jumping out to you. But when they do throw the ball, because they will throw the ball, I would like to McCaffrey have 3 or 4 catches, maybe get 30, 40 yards, show that he can use those crossing routes, go across the middle, catch those passes, maybe a nice shot down the field for 15 to 20 yards. That would be very, very imperative. So let's see what he does. I think he has potential. I like the draft pick, number 100. It's going to be very, very important to see what indeed happens. Like I said, the Patriots defense is going to be good. They have a lot of depth. You look at their defensive backfield. I mean, I don't think the starters are going to be playing, but even third string, I think, have a lot of depth with Mike Vrabel. Remember, he is a hell of a coach. That's why I said I think the coaching alone of Mike Vrabel is going to give him another 3 or 4 wins. Having Drake May going in year 2, having that defense, having more weaponry for Drake May to use. And they got my boy Travion Henderson, so they're going to run the ball very, very well, I think, which will help a young quarterback play action. So look out for the Patriots. Like I said, the division is not as tough as we may presume with the Jets and with the Dolphins, who I think are going to take a step back. I think the Dolphins are last place. Then I put the Jets maybe after them. Then maybe the Patriots in second place. So yeah, so we'll see. Make sure you guys head on over to YouTube and subscribe to the. Appreciate you. Come on over to YouTube. This is the mothership. This is where all the content is. We appreciate you. Hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the bell. I don't know if my green screen's glitching out. So yeah, my internet is acting crazy. Just got back home, it's acting crazy. But looking at this team, like I said, I did want to quickly look at the depth chart, kind of go over that real quick, look at some of the the strengths of this ball club as we get ready for the season. But make sure you guys come on over to the mothership on YouTube, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the bell, vote on the poll as well. Quarterback with Jane Daniels, like I said, you'll see Marcus Mariota, even Josh Johnson probably tonight, maybe even some Sam Hartman. So I think Mariota will probably get the whole first quarter. So I do want to see him. I do want to see Mariota do something with the offense. Show that you can keep the offense afloat, that you just don't go back to not producing any type of plays of positivity. You want to keep the rhythm. You want to, as a quarterback with his capabilities, use what I think the Commanders will do well this year with using Jaden's legs. Use that athleticism and God-given speed and ability you have, and couple that with using the young running backs, letting them get the ball in space in the run and pass game. And then I also think identifying kind of what you have outside of really Noah Brown and Terry McLaurin because they're not there. Debo Samuel, I don't know if he's playing, probably not tonight, but it is what it is. So, we'll definitely see what happens there with that aspect of the game. Like I said, Brian Robinson Jr., Austin Eckler, Jeremy McNichols, Chris Rodriguez Jr. So it's going to be interesting to see which young running back steps up because who will make it? Will one be on the practice squad and one not make the team? That'll be interesting competition. The running back group has a lot of pieces to it. You got Scary Terry, you got Luke McCaffrey, Debo, Noah Brown, Jalen Lane. So, like I said, it'll be very, very intriguing to see really what happens with that there. Zach Ertz, like I said, Benson not. We'll see. We'll see if anything, if he can show up as well. The offensive line has been remade. Laramie Tunsil, Brandon Coleman, Tyler Badass Biadasz, Sam Cosmi, who may miss the beginning of the season because he's hurt. So Cosmi, you got Nick Allegretti, who could step in, and then Cosmi could be back maybe midway through the season, and Andrew Wiley as well. So you did, I think, add to the to the offensive line. I think Wiley could kick inside, and you can have Connolly Jr. come in and start if Cosmi's out, or you could go Connolly Jr. and Wiley at tackle. I don't know. What do you guys think? Because that's going to be interesting. I think the key for this offense is the offensive line. Like a lot of offenses, if the offensive line can just keep JD5 upright and allow him not to take some of those unneeded hits, that's going to be intriguing because they got Wiley, they got Biadasz, they got Tunsil, who's solid, top 5 left tackle still probably in my opinion. Coleman, like I said, it sucks not having Cosmi because that way you don't have to play the rookie. But I think Connolly, if he is going to be what you expect him to be, your right tackle of the future, maybe even your left tackle of the future in 3 years, you want to see what he can do. So I am intrigued to see what the rookie's going to do tonight. Connolly Jr., Nick Allegretti, Chris Paul, all of the depth of the O-line is going to be a key because Cosmi may miss some time. Coleman's a little banged up. Tunsil's not going to play. Biadasz is a little long on the tooth. Let's see what the depth of this offensive line is led by the rookie Josh Connolly Jr. That's going to be very, very intriguing in my opinion as well. Dorrance Armstrong, I think this defensive line has been retooled. Is it great? No. Would I have liked to see them maybe go get old kissy face Christian Wilkins? Possibly, because I think he still is really good, especially in the trenches, in the run. Can get after the quarterback as well, especially when you're in the division with, boy, Jalen Carter and all those guys. But Dorrance Armstrong, Deron Payne, he's not getting any younger, but Deron Payne, they kept him over my boy, sucks, Josh Allen, who is now in Minnesota. But Deron Payne had 4 sacks last year. Can he have another year where he gets 5 or 6? Can Dorrance Armstrong continue to build on what he did last year and maybe get 5 or 6 sacks? Can Javon Kinlaw, who a lot of people think they overpaid for, but he is a good player. He is a good defensive lineman. He is a DMV native, has DMV roots. He is a guy who I think can help make this defense better in the trenches when you got to stop Saquon. You got to get the pocket. You got to get a push up the middle. And I think Kinlaw is that type of guy. Is he going to put up 9 or 10 sacks? No. But could he give you 6 or 7 sacks with his run stuff and ability? That would be good. And Dietrich Wise Jr., who's a former Patriot, can he give you another 5 sacks? So I think a question I'm going to have is, can Dorrance Armstrong, Deron Payne, Javon Kinlaw, Dietrich Wise They still got Cleveland Farrell, Jazon Newton, Eddie Goldman. They bought him in. We know him. He's been in the league a little while, but a very good run rotational stuffer. He can take up space. He's a space eater, which you need in the trenches. So Eddie Goldman, Jalen Holmes. I like the fact that maybe having Goldman and Payne in when you have to play those teams like the Eagles with those big, massive offensive lines. You bring in a Goldman with Payne, Kinlaw, Armstrong, Wise. You maybe you can put a guy like that in rotation. I think that's going to be very, very good. Can help Payne spell him when he's hurt as well or needs a rest. But I think can Armstrong, Payne, Kinlaw, and Wise get 25 sacks total? 25 sacks? Can they get 25 total between those, between those four? That's about 5 per person. Can they get around 25? Can they get 20, at least 20 minimum, but can they get 20 to 25 sacks? If they can get 20 to 25 sacks, that group of 4, that is going to be very, very important to what they want to do defensively because this pass rush, it still needs a little help. Now, I do like the addition of a Von Miller. He's a veteran. He's a winner. He may only get you 5 sacks, but that 5 with Louisville, who had 8, you think about all underrated teams. If you were here at the beginning of the stream, I talked about the all underrated team in the NFL, a wide receiver on that team would be Terry McLaurin, a, a will linebacker or off-ball linebacker or a guy who can get after the quarterback, blitzing linebacker would be Frankie Louisville. Comes for Carolina. He gets paid. He gets paid and shows why he was underrated in Carolina. A lot of people didn't know about him because the Panthers weren't doing too well. He gets 8 sacks. Can he level up to 10, double digits? Can Von Miller give you 5? Bobby Wagner even had 2. Can Bobby Wagner and Von Miller play 15, 16 games? Hopefully. Hopefully. But I want to see this team. Can the Commanders maybe get into the sack competition? Maybe can they be top 10 in sacks this year? They don't really have a dominant pass rusher, but they have some good pass rushers. In the secondary depth is another question I have. Trey Amos, look out for this guy. If you don't know who he is, let's get a good look at him for the people. Out of Ole Miss, second-round pick, number 61 overall, 6'1", 190. Looking like he's going to be cornerback number 2. So maybe even have to play cornerback number 1, depending on old Marshawn Lattimore. But Marshawn is healthy. He looks to be going through the motions well. No issues with him, knock on wood. Marshawn and Trey Amos is going to be nice. I think you have, of course, Mike Sanders still, and Noah Ngwambane. You got Noah. So you got some nickels. I think those are 2 good nickels to have. They can really come up and help in the run with their tackling ability, and they can blitz as well, very well, in my opinion. So I think having those 2 a nickel, you're set. Marshawn is going to do his thing as long as he's healthy. And I think Trey Amos is going to be one of those defensive rookies that you're going to look up and say, he was a nice pick where he was drafted. Maybe was a steal to where he fell to the Commanders. So the safety position, Quan Martin and Will Harris, not really liking either one, honestly. I think that may be the weakest part of the defense is the safeties. Because I don't know, like I said, the corners, if Marshawn goes down, you can, move, Noah or Sam is still around. And you can move Amos around. And you got Jonathan Jones, who, he's long in the tooth, but a veteran. So you can move some pieces around, I think. And that's why I think it's imperative to get those guys up front. Dorrance Armstrong, Deron Payne, Javon Kinlaw, and Dietrich Wise. Can they get 20 to 25? Because I think Louisville can get you 10. Von Miller can get you another 5. Can this group, I was going to say, can they get you 20 to 25? Armstrong, Payne, Kinlaw, Wise, throw Goldman in there. Can they get Farrell? Can they get you 20 to 25? And can Louisville, Wagner, Miller, McGee, Madrano, and that crew get you another 15 to 20? So that you're looking at, between those, that what? 40 to 50 between your front 7. Can you get 40 to 50 sacks? And then I think that could help them propel into a top 10 sack defense when it comes to sacks. Especially getting off the field on third down is going to be very, very imperative. But the pass rush and the secondary go hand in hand. Good pass rush helps your secondary. Even if your secondary is a little lackluster, it makes them at least serviceable because you got such a good pass rush. Guys don't have time to get to those receivers, even if your corners are mid. Could they maybe use another corner? Possibly. But I think the safety position, I don't know. We're going to see how good the safeties are this year. I'm kind of down on them but maybe with this pass rush and the corners being healthy, that can help them do what they need to do and not look as bad as I think they could be. But we'll see. We shall indeed see. Matt Gay and Tressway, who's we love Tressway, well deserved, longest tenured commander, I think, with Scary Terry. Well deserved. Well deserved. I think he's going to be very, very integral because we know special teams can win or lose the game for you. So having Tressway, a guy like that, Pro Bowler, All Pro, is important. Matt Gay, he did good last year. So we'll see. KJ Osborne has a lot of speed. He can be a good punt returner as well. So put him in the mix. Maybe let's see what he does tonight catching the ball. Can he be that vertical threat? Because I think the Commanders could use a guy like that that can be a vertical threat that can help take the top off the defense some of the time. Whether that's Luke McCaffrey, whether that's KJ Osborne, like I said, you do have Noah Brown, you have Scary Terry, you have Ertz, and you have Debo, but those guys are all kind of intermediate to short guys who kind of can get yak, but they need a guy who can open up the defense, take the top off. And I think maybe Osborne and McCaffrey can be used sparingly throughout the season. And that's the evolution of Cliff Kingsbury in year two. What do you do with this offense to help it evolve? Because you can't stay stagnant, because you have to evolve and adjust, because we know defenses this offseason, all they did was look at how to stop Jaden Daniels, how to contain this offense. And like Lamar Jackson going into year two with my guy, Todd Monken, let's see how this offense elevates. Like I said, they're going to want to run the football, but they do have to use the opportunity with Jaden Daniels' arm to inevitably get an opportunity to take some shots down the field. Like I said, I don't know how long Austin Eckler's going to be a kick returner after last year, but McCaffrey's going to be back there. But with the new rule, like I said, going to the 35, you don't want to put Jaden Daniels in this offense at 35. One or two plays, they're in field goal range. One Jaden Daniels run for 20, 25 yards, which he can get if he decides at any moment. He may even run more this year. You're in field goal range. One nice little pass to Scary Terry over the top for 20, or Noah Brown for 15, or Ertz up the middle for 12, you're pretty much in field goal range. So that's going to be something that's very, very interesting to see with the game today. I do want to look at the schedule, because we do have the schedule as well. Let's pull that up as we get into that before we get ready to get out of here. Like I said, they have a lot of primetime games. We have a total of, let me see here. Let me go to it. They have a total of 8 primetime games and 10 games where they're in standalone windows. So 8 games in primetime, that's what, 4 o'clock or later. And then 10 games where they're the only team with the other team they're playing, their opponent. They're the only teams on. So we'll see what happens with that one. We'll see how kind of that plays out. But looking at the schedule, they start, as we mentioned, we got New England next week. So so the Cincinnati game next Monday, it's a Monday night, is at 8, a rematch of the week 3 Monday night game. That's a primetime game on next Monday. So let's see if Scary Terry gets paid by, like I said, by this time next week, around next weekend, heading into that game on Monday. I think that could be the news. That could be the lead. That could be the big story going into that Cincinnati game. Scary Terry is back. Maybe he even suits up. Who knows? But he will be back. And then against the Ravens, the annual 495 Beltway battle, as they will play at noon on a Saturday, the 23rd. And then it's nothing until September 7th, where you kick off the season at home against New York, which you should be able to handle and take care of. Then you kind of go to Green Bay, which is going to be tough. That's a Thursday night game on the road. I never like those games as a road, not even a road underdog, a road short week Thursday night game. I don't like that. I don't like that at all. I don't like that. I don't like that, and I don't think that bodes well for the Commanders, not gonna lie. Come back, so that's one primetime game, which could be a loss. Then you come back to the Raiders, you gotta win that. I think you gotta get the 2-1. You gotta get the 2-1 going to Atlanta. Then you go to LA as well, the Chargers. Probably will be a lot of Commanders fans there, not gonna lie. So that will be more of a home game probably for the Commanders. So I think in the first 5 games, you got to be 3-2. You got to be 3-2, because then After at LA, which is a primetime game, which will probably be the standalone window, maybe, who knows? You got the battle of the number one and number two pick, which we're going to get every year. Caleb Williams comes back to DC, plays the 49ers. And we know last year the Maryland Miracle, Hail Maryland, we know how good that game was. So it'll probably be another good game at home. So you could possibly get to 4-2. I think 4-2 in your first six is realistic. You go to Dallas, we know that's a divisional game that can be toss up 50-50, but as of late, the Commanders have played really well in Dallas. So I don't doubt that they have an opportunity to win that as well. So are we looking at a situation where the Commanders are, what is that? The first 7 games, 5-2, 5-2 in another primetime game, which is against Dallas. That'll be the game of the week. 5-2 before you go to Kansas City on a Monday night. That'll put you, I think, at 5-3. But 5-3 in the first 8, I think you take that. 5-3 in the first 8. You've already played what? 4 primetime games, 5 primetime games in your first 8. So you can get to 5-3 in your first 8. I think that's realistic. Then you get Seattle, Detroit, and Miami all at home. Well, the Miami game is an international affair in Madrid, Spain. But I mean, you could really look at all those games. I mean, 2-1 minimum, because I think you beat Miami. I think you can beat Detroit or Seattle. You may lose one of those. Maybe Detroit gets their revenge back. But I mean, are you looking at, what is that? 7-4? You're probably looking at 7-4 heading into the bye. I think 7-4 heading into the bye would be lovely. You know, now 6-5 wouldn't be ideal, but it wouldn't be terrible. You know, but 7-4. Then you got Denver at home on Sunday Night Football. Could you get to 8-4? That's going to be tough. I mean, their defense is good. That's a playoff caliber team. They made it last year. Then you go to Minnesota. That could be a loss. That's about 8-5. Then you add New York. I think New York may steal the game. That's a divisional game on the road. Could it be 8-6? Then you got one against Philly. I think you split with Philly. So 9-6. Then you get Dallas on Christmas on Netflix. 10. Then losing at Seattle, possibly the flex game, or Philly. The last game of the season is a flex game. You could lose that. Don't know the day yet. Could be a Saturday. Could be a Sunday. So we're looking at what, 10-7 maybe? Because that's the back half of the schedule is a little tough. You got 3 games that are quote unquote home games, but Seattle, Detroit, 2 caliber teams that could be in the playoffs, especially Detroit, I think will get their revenge or try to get it. And then you go to Spain, and then you got the bye, and then you get Denver, Minnesota, divisional games against New York, Dallas, and Philly to end the year. So your last 4 games, all divisional games, and 2 at home, 2 on the road. As mentioned, the Saturday, December 20th game could be a evening game, 4 o'clock, 5, 4:30, 4:25, or an 8 o'clock game, depending on the way the flex schedule works out. And then you got Dallas on Netflix on Christmas Day. So as you're opening your gifts from jolly old St. Nick, you can watch, hopefully, Dak throw a pick to my boy Trey Amos or Bobby Wagner or Louisville, and they can be on their way to potentially winning that game. But I think they split with Dallas. I think they split with New York, and I think they split with Philly. I think New York's defense is going to be a little better than people think. I think Dexter Lawrence last year was not there. You have, Abdul Carter. You have, of course, Kayvon Thibodeau. You got some guys on the back end. They had a good draft last year. They get Javon Holland, one of the more underrated players in the league. I think he will be an all underrated safety. So it's going to be intriguing to see what they do. But that schedule's not easy. But, could you be 7-4, 6-5? Before you get into the bye and everything, that would be ideal. I think 10 wins can get you into the playoffs. Will it win a division? I don't know. What do I think they can playoffs? Which they were last year, and they ended up in the NFC Championship game. So I don't think where they get in matters. They've proved they can win on the road. They've proved they can win in hostile environments with rookies and young players. They're another year older, another year wiser, another year more experienced. I think 10 wins is at least the minimum. Like I said, they're kind of like the Texans last year, but I think they won't have the major drop off. Like I said, I think the defense, let's see what they can do with the pass rush. Let's see what they do with the pass rush tonight. Who jumps out to us? Let's see what these rookies do. Let's see what the offense does in the absence of DJ Daniels and Terry McLaurin and Noah Browns and Zach Ertz. How does the offensive line hold up? The depth of the offensive line? Can they find a running game? Those are just things we're going to be looking at. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this afternoon happy hour live of the your Washington Commanders as they get ready to head up to, or they're already in Foxborough to face the New England Patriots. That game is at 7:30 tonight on your CBS affiliate. Yours truly, God's favorite host. We covered the Washington Commanders throughout the season and the offseason as well. So make sure you check us out right here on the Flex Zone Podcast. The only place giving you sports how you want it, when you need it. We do Washington Commanders pregame shows and we do postgame shows after each game. So whether it's a primetime game at 8:30 on a Thursday or Sunday or Monday night, or a 9:30 a.m. start in Spain or overseas, we have your coverage for the Washington Commanders. We'll be here. And even on Christmas Day, as they play on Netflix against the Dallas Cowboys, which we'll be live for. Working on Christmas, yet again. I know my family will love to hear that, as I've worked last Christmas as well with the Ravens. And I think the year before that was Christmas too. So the last two Christmases we've been working. Ravens and 49ers, then last year Ravens and Texans, and then this year with the Commanders and the Cowboys, and then the Ravens and the Bengals are on Thanksgiving night. So that's another full slate. Not only will I be working on Thanksgiving, we'll be working on Thanksgiving and Christmas this year. So we got the Washington Commanders post-game shows. We will talk about this probably on the flagship podcast, which we just celebrated episode 500 on this past Monday. So what we've been doing is we've been ranking each position group. We've been ranking running backs. We've been ranking wide receivers. We've been ranking defenses. And we led up to the top 10 quarterback debate. That was our 500th episode of our flagship podcast, which we show on Monday nights, 10:30 p.m. after Monday Night Raw. We usually kick off the week with pro wrestling, which we do cover pro wrestling, and we are the home for. The only place giving you sports how you want it when you need it, the Flex On Podcast. Throw your ones up and acknowledge us. But Mondays, we got Monday Night Raw. Then we go into the flagship podcast. We were live this week for episode 500. We'll be live back this week for episode 501. So make sure you join us for that. That'll be a lot of fun. A lot of discussion, a lot of recaps from the Ravens preseason win and the Commanders game tonight. So we will definitely see how things play out with that. And I definitely can't wait to see who jumps out while you're watching this game. Like I said, you can't watch everything. You may miss some things. And half of these guys in the fourth quarter probably won't be on the team. But who jumps out? Who stands out? What rookie? What free agent? What unknown guy steps forward and really asserts themselves as the potential impact player on this team? As you can look into the aspect of what this team could be, the expectations and the level of success has risen. You know, now you get to the NFC Championship game. If you don't get back to that, is it a failure of a season? I mean, NFC is kind of wide open outside the Eagles. I mean, you guys can let me know, who is that number 2 team? Is it the Commanders? Who is it? Because I don't know who that number 2 team is in the NFC. It's kind of wide open after the defending, reigning Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles. But could it be the Commanders? Could Jane Daniels continue to get better? Could Cliff Kingsbury's offense continue to evolve? Will they pay Scary Terry? Can they run the football effectively? Can the offensive line hold up? Can they make enough explosive plays, sustain drives on third downs, get touchdowns in the red zone instead of field goals? Defensively, can they get after the quarterback, maybe be a top 10 sack team? Can they stop the run, control the line of scrimmage, not turn the ball over offensively as well? Can they create some more turnovers, which they did very well against Detroit, but then turn the ball over a lot? Can special teams execute? Can they find a returner and a kick return and punt return that can give them a little bit of explosiveness to help out Jaden Daniels, get some more opportunities? Like I said, defensively, can they stay healthy on the back end? Do they have enough depth? Can the safeties overachieve, which I think they could be? Because I don't have a lot of high expectations for them. I think, like I said, I'm looking for this front 7 to get 40 to 50 sacks between those guys that I named. Getting Kinlaw is good. Getting Goldman is good. Some of the draft picks, we'll see what they can be on defense and on offense. But I think they can get about 10 wins. I think the Commanders have a legit shot. I think Okay, we got breaking news, which I'll get to in a second. We will see if the Commanders can get it done. They were 1-2 in the preseason last year, but I got breaking news here. Yeah, like I said, I do want to see what they do. No Jaden Daniels, none of the starters, but we'll see who pops, who steps out. As like I said, this team should be a playoff contending team. I know they got 8 primetime games, 10 games in a standalone window, but I want to see what they can do with the expectations of people expecting them to be good. So breaking news from the NBA real quick. NBC is getting basketball back. As you all know, the NBA on NBC is back. So the famous theme is back. Round ball rock. Rockets, Thunder. Kevin Durant goes back to OKC as Oklahoma City pulls down their banner. SGA MVP, NBA Finals MVP. They will welcome him back to the team that drafted him. Well, it was the Seattle Supersonics, but to where he played in OKC with the new look Rockets with him. They will open in OKC against the Thunder. And then the Warriors with Steph Curry, Jimmy Butler, Draymond Green. And that team will start against the Lakers. Luka Doncic then slim down. LeBron James going into his 41 years of age, 40 years of age playing, going into year 21. That will be on NBC. So that will be a double hitter. So we got that coming up for you as well. So yeah, that'll be interesting. So, and we got the Christmas Day lineups too. We got it all. Okay, so we got Cavs Knicks. That'll be fun. Spurs Thunder. That'll be fun. Rockets Lakers. That'll be real fun. I like that. That's probably my favorite game so far. Mavericks Warriors. Cooper Flag and Kyrie and the crew if he's back with Anthony Davis and Wolves. Oh, Mavs Warriors and Wolves Nuggets. They always do Wolves Nuggets on Christmas night. I feel like at 10:30 with Jokic and Special Ed Anthony Edwards, Ant-Man. So we'll see with that. So you got what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 Christmas Day games for your viewing pleasure as well. So there you go with that. And Rockets, Thunder, Warriors, Lakers on opening night. So breaking news for you as we talk a little NFL, but we cover all sports here on the Flex Zone podcast. If you don't know, now you know. We'll see what happens tonight with the Commanders. We'll see what happens tonight with the Patriots. Let us know your predictions for the game. Let us know what team and player you're looking forward to seeing by voting on the poll. Like I said, we do pre- and post-game shows for Washington Commanders games. Episode 500, we rank the top quarterbacks. Tuesday, we weren't live, but we usually do NXT. Wednesdays, AEW, but we broke the news on Wednesday. ESPN and WWE reached a landmark agreement as they will now host all PLEs for WWE. We broke it down, talked about it as good as you'll hear on YouTube. Check that video out as well. We were live yesterday previewing the Ravens and the Colts with my good boy, my brother, Antoine Riles of Disqualified Opinions, which we will be back with real soon. Stay tuned. So we were live for that. I was live with him. Thank him again for being on. Great insight and analysis as always. Tonight, we're back, baby. Friday night SmackDown. Big show tonight. Cody Rhodes. What's next for him? We were live for SummerSlam 2 this past week. First 2 nights SummerSlam. John Cena in the building. What is next? Is Brock Lesnar next? It looks like he is, as Brock Lesnar attacked John Cena at the end of SummerSlam. Is Brock Lesnar going to make a surprise appearance? I think he will. So you got Brock Lesnar. You got John Cena. What's next for Cody Rhodes? What's next for Tiffany Stratton? What's next for the Jacob Fatu and MFT storyline? What's next for all of these moving parts? What's next for the Wyatts as they retain their tag titles? So SmackDown looks to be shaping up as the best show of the week on your wrestling docket. And with the crowd in Canada, I think it'll be an even better energy post SummerSlam. But if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, hit that bell. Sound off down below in the comment section. It's yours truly, God's favorite host. Throw your ones up, acknowledge us, vote on the poll, become a member, get those custom Commanders, Ravens, wrestling emotes, exclusive priority on the merch coming real soon. Episode 500 was Monday. We're live for Raw, NXT, AEW Dynamite, and of course Friday Night SmackDown and all PLEs for WWE and pay-per-views for AEW. And we even cover TNA pay-per-views as well and other shows, like we'll be doing Triple Mania possibly as well. So stay tuned for all of that. All 140 of you, all 133 of you on X. If you can, come on over to what we do here on YouTube. Search the Flex Zone Podcast. Go ahead and sack that subscribe button. And go ahead and give it a salute like the Commanders. And make sure you hit stick that thumbs up. Tackle that thumbs up. Every time you hit that thumbs up, it pushes us out to other Commanders fans to get the great content that we do here. If you want to be a part of what we do here, email us to flexzone1@gmail.com. FlexZone1 on all social media. Flex Zone Podcast on TikTok. The Cash App is in the description, and it's in the ticker down below. Hashtag the Flex on One. Super chats are always appreciated. One of the best ways to support what we do here. Not obligated, but appreciated. And we appreciate each one of you joining me on this happy hour stream for Friday on August 8th. Commanders, Patriots, Washington Commanders travel up to Foxborough, take on the New England Patriots after joint practice this week. We shall see what is next for everything going on there, and we'll talk about it right here on the Flex Zone Podcast, the only place giving you sports how you want it, when you need it. Thank you guys for watching. Happy Friday. Enjoy the game. We'll see you when we see you with more content. We'll be back tonight for Friday Night SmackDown, so join us for that. We'll talk some Commanders as well because I'll be watching the game. So we'll be watching the Commanders. We'll be watching SmackDown. We'll be doing it all for you here on the Flex Zone Podcast. Thank you again for watching, everybody. Hope you have a great day. I appreciate all the energy and love. Thank you for watching. Peace. I'm gone.
Those haters can't stand us. Left hand up.